Hello and welcome back to my channel. And today I'm going to be reviewing an exhibition at the National Portrait Gallery. This is of Edvard Munch portraits. Now, Edvard Munch is better known for his more symbolist paintings, best of all the Scream. This is a very famous image, and that's what most people connect him with. But the National Portrait Gallery is doing a small exhibition of his portraits, which took up quite a lot of his work. It's a very beautifully mounted exhibition. You have to go up the stairs and round the back. It takes quite a while to find it. And it's just one long room. But all the paintings are very well hung, very well exhibited, and it's a very nice exhibition to walk around. I didn't keep the programme for it, unfortunately. So I'm not going to go through every single painting. I'm going to pick out my personal highlights. Just to give you a flavour, and then you can go along. And the exhibition is open till June the 15th, and it's well worth going along. Before you get into the main paintings, do check out on the left as you go in. There's a tiny little portrait of his father, which I found very moving. It's a real miniature, but his use of paint and the way he captures his father. So there's a sort of, you can see that there's a remoteness and aloofness from his father, who's obviously a very sort of interior, insular man, quite a remote man. But it's a very moving, touching, there's a fondness there, but also a remoteness, which I think makes the painting very moving. But more typical of the exhibition is this young man standing against this kind of bronze amber wall. You know, very full-length portrait, it's a very tall portrait, very striking image. And that's kind of more typical of the paintings that you get throughout the exhibition. And you'll see this painting represented in lots of posters and stuff. Of these kind of images throughout, all of them are very striking, beautiful use of colour. But the one that most affected me was this one. Now, this is a portrait of a writer friend of Edvard Munch, who apparently didn't care for this portrait because it revealed too much about him. He didn't like the portrait painter capturing his personality too much. That sort of, but you do get a sense of this person, don't you? That sort of slight stoop, the slight wariness in his eyes. It gives you a clue to his character. What you can't see in this representation, I couldn't find a good representation online. It's quite hard finding good representations of paintings in online pictures. They don't capture the colours and textures of the paintings very well. What you don't get in this representation is how purple that suit is. And the purple is extraordinarily vibrant with the green of the walls behind. And that connotes this guy's personality as much as anything else. It's a very, very striking image. And that was my favourite of these kind of full-length portraits that were in the room. Similarly, I found it hard to find an image that did justice to this next painting of a model sitting on a couch in Edvard Munch's studio. And you'll notice that the dress it seems almost multicoloured. It's got a sort of red and purple. In real life, the painting, that colour is so vibrant. It's almost like a heat haze. It's an intensity, and it brings the whole nature of this woman's personality to life. She's just sort of sitting there in a slightly bored pose on the couch, but the colour just, it comes off the canvas. It's sort of almost overwhelming. It almost feels like it's moving, almost like in a vortex. It's an astonishing image. I bought in the shop afterwards, I got two images. This is the first one. It's called Evening. It's not really a portrait at all. I mean, this is one of those paintings that I think anyone could fall in love with. It's just such a beautiful capturing of evening light, you know, in Norway, I imagine in the Scandinavian world, that endless evening that goes on in the summers, a woman looking out, you know, and there's a sense that she's looking out on her prospects in her life, and in the distance there is a man and a woman talking. And then what you don't get so much in this representation here is that gradation of beautiful colour of that lawn stretching out behind her into the far distance. And that gives a sense of melancholy and real beauty to the painting. I thought it was a really striking image, the kind of image that anyone could like, really. The other one I got was this one, which you'll see is a poster for the exhibition in most places. This is another writer that he knew, a kind of cynic, you know, one of these kind of bohemian cynics. And in the rubric, the description of the painting on the wall, it talked about how the distance placed between the painter and this man by the table connotes the painter's distance from what he feels about this man. I thought more what connoted it was the use of colour. That very, very pale, weak white light in the top left-hand corner with that green crumpled suit and the line of his body, which you don't quite get in this representation. But it's that connotes this kind of man's inward cynicism and almost laziness of morality. It's a very striking image, but I think it's more the colour. And I found that in quite a lot of the Munch portraits, actually. It was his gradation of colour that really connoted all the ideas and emotions in the painting. But let's leave colour aside for a second. One of the most striking images in the whole exhibition is this one. It's called The Anatomist. This was a genuine anatomist who became a friend and acquaintance of Munch's, and he asked to paint him. I don't think the anatomist was terribly enthused. And there was a brilliant thing, I wish I could remember what it said in the rubric. This is why I need to keep the programmes. But in the rubric it said that Munch had said to him that we are both people who dissect people's inner selves to get to the core. And I think that Munch really manages that here. The face of that anatomist really struck me, almost impassive, but also there's something cold, but also he seems sort of not quite in control of this incredible operation he's doing. And the person lying out on the table apparently is a self-portrait of Munch of himself. So it's a very dark painting, almost gothic painting. I thought it was a very striking image. Very powerful. There's all these, gaudy colours throughout the rest of the exhibition, but this black and white, almost charcoal print really struck me. But the most powerful image for me in the whole exhibition was the most muted and pared down. It's an image of a couple who came to visit Munch in Norway. They were German art dealers. And he has to take their portrait. I'm not sure they'd be very happy with it, because it's a rather cold painting that shows two people at some distance from each other. And it's all done through their posture, how they're standing to each other, and colour. What you don't see in this representation is the use of colour in the background, that block of purple between them, the yellow behind her over her left shoulder, are very powerful. They seem to separate these two people, seem to comment on a division between them, that they are lovers, they're a couple, but there's something not quite right. I don't know how happy they'd have been for this image, but I found it really striking. Most of the other paintings in the exhibition are quite bold, they're quite in your face. This one is very it's low key, but it's much more powerful for being low key. And I thought it was the most striking painting in the exhibition, the most brilliant use of colour, the most brilliant use of composition. So those are some of the highlights. I really recommend this exhibition. It's a very interesting other take on Munch. These are not the paintings he's known for, but it gives you an insight into his life and the people he associated with, his biography, if you like. One image that they didn't pick, but which you can go down the road to the Tate and see, is Sick Child, which is one of the Munch paintings that's had the biggest impact on me. Again, this representation here doesn't really show his use of paint and how that the use of paint somehow makes the sickliness of the child, but also her vulnerability and her grace come out further from the painting. It's a very, very striking image. So go along to the Tate and look at it, because it's really quite beautiful and very moving. But this exhibition at the National Portrait Gallery, these exhibitions are never very cheap these days, but it's well worth going along. Thanks very much.